WCSM's General Store recorded at 70X7 Studio. Christine Flynn, your local Farmers Insurance agent. For Good Reasons Roofing, your local hometown roofing specialist. The AME Group for all your technical needs. And by Sanders Insurance, your local independent insurance experts. And now, WCSM's crew.
Good Friday afternoon to you, and welcome to WCSM's General Store from the 70X7 studio. Sheila and Mark here.
Yep.
And Bill and Kurt are not here, but it's okay because we got
a legend.
We've got a legend.
Legend.
Tony Kale is with us as our guest. WCLS talent and
morning show
and local. I mean, all the things. Yeah. Tony Kale is all the things. So
there's a lot of high school football and basketball. Yeah. Do you cover any other sports besides high school?
I've done baseball. Baseball.
I was going to ask you. That was going to be one of my questions today.
Yeah,
if you did some baseball.
Baseball's probably maybe my favorite thing to actually do.
It gives you a lot of time to talk, doesn't it?
Yes, and I like to do
that.
And
you like to talk.
And that's part of the radio.
You're in the right business then. So, I had all the top fans. I'm sorry, and then my phone screen went dark, and then it kicked me off, and now I can't find it again. So
we got a few top fans.
We know who our top fans are, and we appreciate
Tony
you
Kale,
so much.
I think, one of them.
Hey.
Yes, and I just want, before we go any further, thank you from the very first podcast for the General Store. You have promoted us on your morning show. When you talk to Kurt in the mornings, and that means so much to us, and we're just honored and humbled that you would think to do that. We can't say thank you enough, Tony. We appreciate it so much.
Well, it's just awesome that you guys kind of carried on the legacy that you had on the radio for many years at Hoosier Country, and here you are. You know, I used to listen to Cop Talk. A lot of times that was on my way home from work in the afternoon. So, hey,
we had a lot of fun.
You were really bored, weren't you?
I've tuned you guys in. So.
20 years. So, that's we just appreciate you so much. So, let's dig right in. So, first of all, tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm Tony Kale. I'm from right here, in Ellettsville, Indiana, where this studio is. This studio's awesome. It makes me want to do something to my storage where the studio is just phenomenal. These guys have a wonderful facility here.
Yes, Mike and Carter do a great job, our producers.
I'm married to Rhonda Kale. We've been married for a little over 20 years. Just celebrated our 20th anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Don't have any biological children, but I've had 3 stepsons that they're my own as far as I'm concerned, even though they're not blood. And I've got a granddaughter, Palmer, who will be 7 coming up in July, 2 weeks before my birthday next month. But my dad passed away. Carl Kale was his name. My mom is still living and doing great. She'll be 85 this fall. Sorry, Mom, I didn't mean to give away the age.
My mom,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
What year did your dad pass away?
He passed away in 2011.
That's the same as my dad. I told him.
Mine was 2010.
We've lived a very similar life in some aspects.
Yeah.
And your mom, Jane, worked at Target.
Yeah, she still does part-time
she's still
a little
there?
bit. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Impressive. Yeah.
She still she loves being around people, and
that's great.
She's not quite the talker. My dad was the talker. That's where I get that from. So his nickname was Chin. But Marcella, my sister, Carla, my sister, they're still around the area. So the family's still around. And still out on DeLapp Road, not too far from here,
nice.
Just over at Mom's. Didn't have any power at the house, so I had to take a shower over there.
Well,
thanks, Mom.
Yeah, appreciate you, Mom. So now tell us a little bit about your radio journey. So how long have you been on air, and have you always only been at the station you're at?
I've worked for several different companies, kind of one led into the other with buyouts and different things like that. But just recently celebrated my 37th radio anniversary here locally. That was April 28th, I believe it was. This fall will be my 36th season of doing high school sports. We mainly cover Edgewood and Owen Valley. I've done North and South games in the past as well, but mainly Edgewood and Owen Valley on WCLS. And then our sister station in the same building, Spirit 95, they do mainly Bloomington North and South, so we're not at the same facilities carrying the same game and everything. So. that's kind of my favorite thing. I love doing the morning
and
show.
You're great at the play-by-play. You do very good.
Yeah, play-by-play is my kind of always been kind of my passion and everything.
So how did you get into radio? Did you go to school for it, or did you just fall into? Okay, so tell us just a little bit about how all that went. Now you went to Edgewood, graduated high school.
Yep.
I'm assuming. How tall are you?
6'6".
I'm assuming you played basketball for the Mustangs.
Yeah, played basketball, played baseball. Was on the 1985. Kind of had a reserve role in the 1985 sectional baseball championship. We made the regional final and got beat. That was back in single class, but that was the first baseball sectional that Edgewood had won since 1968. So So I played just a reserve role in that. I wasn't a star or anything by any means, but told a lot of jokes on the bench.
That's right. That's what makes it fun.
But played for Bob Jones his first year. Of course, he's a longtime coach at Edgewood now. He was an assistant then. His next year, my senior year, was his first varsity team. So I played on his first varsity team, and he's still, of course, coaching Edgewood baseball now.
Nice.
So, but I played basketball, 2 years varsity, part varsity my sophomore year, but junior and senior year. And that was always my favorite sport growing up. But I've just always loved sports. My dad kind of got that passion from my dad and everything. And as far as my radio journey, it's funny. I didn't play football in high school. I did when I was younger, but not in high school. So we would be sitting in the stands, and of course my friends were out playing and everything, and the guys would be like, "Hey, do a little play-by-play." So I'd throw a little humor in there, but sitting in the stands, and man, you guys, you ought to do that someday. So when I graduated high school, I went to IU one semester. Love Indiana University. As a student, I really did not like it at all. I kind of commuted and everything. It was those 8 o'clock classes, commuting from home and trying to find a parking space, and it was kind of more of a hassle to me. It just wasn't for me. But I loved the Hoosiers, of course. And then my mom found out about a broadcasting school in Indianapolis called the Columbia School of Broadcasting. It no longer exists, but I graduated actually out of 400 and I want to say like 60 some odd students. There were 5 that made the national honor roll because it was a national school, all of the major cities in the U.S. And I was one of 5 that made the honor roll for that.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
So, and then I got my first radio job. It's funny, a year after high school, I decided, well, I'm going to do the PA for the Edgewood game. So the year after I graduated, guys I played with, I did the PA for the varsity basketball games. And a couple of guys that worked at WLSO Radio, because Sheila, I know you're familiar with that
Dave
station.
Sockel and Kerry Pittman.
Kerry Bob was his nickname, but those guys were up doing an Edgewood game, and I thought, and of course, I was wet behind the ears, a little scared to go up and talk to them, but I went up and talked to them, and they invited me over to the station to audition. And I started working part-time within about a month on weekends. I remember the Walcott Brothers had a bluegrass show on Sundays. I ran the board for that and everything, one of my first duties. Then the overnight guy, of course, it was mainly automated station back then, but the overnight guy quit. I started the 10 at night to 6 a.m. shift.
Wow.
And ended up learning how to do logs and all kinds of different things. And so it was a great first job, and I was going to school at the same time, so I was able to use the studio there to do a lot of my homework and things.
Yeah.
So that's where I got my start, and that's kind of how it evolved from there, and then went on to eventually KT93, Hot Kickin' Country. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know Mark does, because that's how Mark and I first got acquainted.
Yeah. That's been a long time ago.
One of your first jobs was in sales.
That's exactly
there.
right.
But Sheila, I know you, I think, did you work at WLSO for a little while?
Well, I was with my band. WLSO did the Wrangler
Shutdown.
The Wrangler Country Showdown. Back then, it was Wrangler.
Okay, right.
And I won their contest, and so Dave Sockel was the GM there, and Carrie on air. Obviously, that's when I became such good friends with them. But they just would have me come to their live broadcast or the remotes, and just throw me on the air because I was their Wrangler Country Showdown winner, and that was kind of when I really my first taste of radio, really, of doing things like that. So never really worked for them, but I was their Wrangler Country Showdown winner.
That's the connection I remember, because I think you were doing the Showdown when I first started working part-time at WLSO. And I remember, I don't know if you ever remember hearing this, but you guys had Lloyd Wood on a while back.
Yes.
But you remember the jingle he did for WLSO?
Yes.
Love and Hurt and Cheat and Flirt. I can't sing, obviously, but you remember that jingle?
Yes, I do.
So, Lloyd, when you guys had him on, that was must-see. see.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Must see TV. Yeah,
We gotta have him back too.
Yeah, for sure. That he's always that's so cool. So yeah, you of course I might be biased, but you got to work with one of the best then with Carrie Pittman.
Yep.
Carrie was
Carrie just passed away, I think, about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I
just
heard
was
that,
a wonderful, loved him. He was that old school like WNAP kind of, you know what I mean, like kind of a rocker persona. I loved Carrie Pittman. So that's awesome that you kind of did. So then you got a degree then, or from Columbia.
Yeah, graduated from Columbia. Like I said, I made the honor roll, and then fortunately I got the part time, which ended up being the overnight guy. I believe his name was Pat Bolin. I remember there was a Roger Bolin who I'm still Facebook friends with. He worked there in the afternoons, and then I took Pat's place on the overnight. And then the station was sold and became KT93, moved to Ellettsville. I was the only one from WLSO that made the switch over and got to work with some great guy, Dave Stanley, who did mornings at WFMS in Indianapolis. He was a morning guy that also worked at FMS. Rod Tanner was the evening drive guy. Then I was like 7 to midnight. That was my first live radio shift, sweating bullets. I remember what's funny is nobody knows this. I've never mentioned this to anybody except just some people that are close that have known me for a long time. But probably the first 3 months I was live on air, I literally would script out what I was going to say on the air because I was so nervous and wanted to be so perfect, which now as you get older, nobody's perfect.
You just wing
except the Almighty that walked to the face of the earth. But
Amen.
it was so funny. I look back at that and, I think I sounded okay. I learned so much from those radio veterans, so I was blessed to get to work with those guys. But it's just funny. I think back how I would script things out, how I was going to back announce a song, what I was going to say, and had the little liner cards. So
Rick Evans at Hoosier Country, when he hired me, he had me do the same thing as you might want to write out what you're going to say until you get used to it. Even though we're talkers, it's different when you open the mic. People don't necessarily realize that. Or just that 30 seconds is not what you think it is or whatever, or 15 seconds or whatever. But yeah, that's so awesome.
But yeah, I ended that was kind of my crutch when I first started, and then kind of threw that away, and you just the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And I look at it. I try to be professional, but when I'm on the air every morning, again, this is probably the best compliment I always get. People will tell me it's like kind of like listening to you guys on this podcast. Is it's like I'm sitting around having my cup of coffee in the morning, hanging with friends.
Yeah,
that's what I told her. I just enjoy listening because I feel like I'm just listening to friends, sitting with friends. Yeah, exactly. You and the coach do.
That's what we want it to be.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
You do a great job at it.
Yeah, I think that is a great compliment when somebody feels like they know you, but they've never met you. That means you're doing, a job well done for sure. So you've been now. So how long have you actually been morning show at
WCLS?
CLS. Now.
Let's see. I want to say 2003. Whenever they first bought us, Mid America Radio, I was still doing country radio. From 1987 till 2003 we did country. So it's funny. I don't know if you remember, you probably remember these, Sheila, but remember we used to get the CDXs.
Oh, yes.
With all the different artists that do songs that would come in. What's funny, I still hear a song on the radio. Toby Keith should have been a cowboy. And also, CDX 52. It's the silliest things you can remember, but what's important sometimes I don't remember.
But when you actually would play the CDs, now everything's on hard drive, but
Yeah, everything's MP3. So, but yeah, I did country music then. Does that mean we're going to a break?
Just shortly here. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. I do it.
Most people don't notice that.
All right on it.
Well, I'll try to shut up a little bit more on the next break.
No, it's perfect.
No,
I find it so interesting. That's what we try to do when we bring guests here. Is people may know. Like when we had Don Fisher on, okay, everybody knows you're the voice of the Hoosiers, but we want to know who Don Fisher is.
Exactly.
And so that's what we want to find out with Tony Kale too. And so we'll do that as he's going to stick around, and we want you to do it too. We'll take a quick break and be right back after this.
Good Reasons Roofing. That's the number 4, goodreasons.com. They want to be your local hometown roofing specialist. Whether it's hail damage, storm damage, worn out and just plain old damage, or maybe it's new construction. Whatever your 4 reasons are to have a new roof, their 4 reasons are honesty, integrity, quality, and kindness. For Good Reasons Roofing. Give them a call at 812-360-4469. They'll give you a free inspection and a transparent quote. You will be completely satisfied because Tony Pulliam will not let it be anything less than your satisfaction. Look for them at forgoodreasons.com. That's the number 4, goodreasons.com, or call them at 812-360-4469. For Good Reasons Roofing, your local hometown roofing specialist.
Just want to take a moment to talk about our newest sponsor. We're really excited about Sanders Insurance joining the gang here at WCSM's General Store. They are located at 5641 West State Road 46 in Ellettsville. If you're familiar with that address, it's because Levi Sanders, their general agent, has been at that location for quite a few years. They are now an independent insurance agency, which means they have access to the best companies that serve your particular needs. Each client is given a dedicated team that works together to address all of your concerns. They offer all types of personal insurance coverages, ATV, boat, watercraft, auto insurance, even renter's insurance. So, do you own a business? Give one of their agents a call. Start saving money on commercial insurance coverages, including apartment, building owners, builder's risk, auto body shops, you name it. Sanders Insurance gives you the ability to choose the best carrier for your insurance needs. That's the main advantage to using an independent insurance agency. They'll work with the best to satisfy you. Give them a call, 812-876-7831, or visit them on the web at sandersinsurance.co and tell them the General Store sent you. You'll be glad you did.
Welcome back from break. We've got Tony Kale with us. We need you to talk a little more, probably. You're not, I mean...
No problem.
The producer Mike came to us during the break and was like, Tony, we need to pull a little more out of you. So, no, it's great. You're right where you need to be in radio, right?
I love these guys back here.
Oh, yes, they're wonderful.
They're the
we
best.
obviously couldn't do it without them. But, okay, so now you've gotten us to where you... You've been working at WCLS for all these years, and you have a co-host?
Yes, John Chance. He's my co-host. And I'll kind of backtrack real quick if you don't care.
Yeah, no, yeah.
To WCLS, I mentioned we did country radio, and then in 2005, we were at 92.7 on the dial, which WLSO, and then we went to 97.7, flipped, and we were able to increase our power by doing that. And then we played good time oldies up until about 2 years ago, and now we're playing 70s, 80s, 90s, even into early 2000s music now.
Now, if I remember right, and I may not, you may correct me, 97.7 started out with like Christmas music.
Yes. Yeah, that was our transition from country.
Yeah.
Good memory, Mark.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I just don't know about that. But it was amazing how many letters we received. We've had people even, hey, you guys are going to go, all Christmas. And we do that with our sister station, Spirit 95. But yeah, you're right. We did do that in the transition from the country over to the oldies.
Because everybody wondered what was going to happen after Christmas with that station.
Yeah, we had little liners.
Everybody loved it.
Little liners teasing that changes were coming.
Yeah, you had to have that transition. You couldn't just flip it from one to the other. But yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, so now how long has John been with you?
John, I'll give you a little background on John. And of course, it's great having John on. Number one, he's been my friend for many years. It's funny, we give each other such a hard time, and John always said, "Oh, it's part of the show," Yeah. But anyway, he's kind of like a big brother to me, so to speak. But anyway, John taught for 40 years, 39 of those at Edgewood in the RBB school system. Taught history in high school. But he and Mick Hammett, who just retired from the athletic director position, were my my freshman basketball coaches.
Oh, no kidding.
And then John was my history teacher at Edgewood. And it's funny, the very first day, he put me right in front of his desk.
Because you talk too much?
No, he wanted to talk. At the end of each class, about the last 5 minutes, he would let everybody talk, and he wanted to talk sports with me.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, but anyway, John started doing some things with me. He started doing color commentary. A guy that was doing it, Brent Renard, who is one of my good friends. Brent did it for many years, but he was still kind of coaching a little bit at Owen Valley and different things. So John started doing football full time, and then that evolved into the basketball. And I think it was the year after John retired from football coaching. He coached for 6 years up at Edgewood, had a good run there. But anyway, he started doing color commentary, and of course, we've known each other for so long. So it's kind of like Kurt being on the radio. Kurt and I go back, so it really helps having someone you've known for a long time, and you just kind of feed off each other. So, and then about a little over 6 years ago, when he retired from teaching, he came in and ended up not just doing sports, but now full time on the Morning Mayhem. My wife, by the way, Rhonda, bless her heart, she we did a contest to name the show, and she won. Actually, we love Morning Mayhem. We had a lot of different things. But
so she really named it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Morning, that comes from my wife.
And John, I know, is also very impressed with Tony's reading. He likes to read. He always talks about how much Tony likes to read books.
I couldn't tell you the last time I read a book, and it's not that I don't like it, but and Sheila can attest to this. When you're on the air, you're reading every day.
He likes to gig a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, I don't read. I used to be an avid reader. Now I listen.
Yeah.
You know, I sew a lot now, so I'll listen to audiobooks or whatever. So, but so you're on air, but you love being on air because is this fair to say? Because it really gives you the opportunity to be involved with sports.
Yeah, I mean...
is that really where your passion lies in this?
Probably when I first started in broadcasting, being sport, my dream job was Don Fisher's. Bless his heart. He's never going to retire, but come on, Don. But no, Don, what a legend. And I might talk about a few of my influences here in a little bit.
Please,
but Don would rank right at the top. And I've got to know Don over the years. For many years, we were an IU sports affiliate, and he and I and Buck Sue are going to play golf together quite a bit. And I saw Don at, of course, his son Scott is the head football coach at Edgewood now. And Don was at one of the games, and when I left the press box and everything, saw him down there. And then he and I got together, and it was like, blah, blah, probably 10, 15 minutes. But but no, just what a superhuman being. Indiana University has been blessed for so many years. But anyway, I kind of wanted to be Don Fisher because I grew up listening to him. And but that job was taken, obviously.
Can I mention a name? I think it's going to be one of your mentors. I'm at Marty Brenneman.
Oh, absolutely. I got a chance to meet him.
Okay. He's Cincinnati Reds.
In 2019.
You and I are both big Cincinnati Reds.
Yes.
You're more of a Reds fan than I am, but I grew up in the 70s is where I became the Big Red Machine.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and in 2019, my wife and I got to go over to a radio suite, and Marty Brenneman actually came in and talked for 10 minutes. So I tried to steal 2 or 3 minutes with him, and he was really nice. And Jack Buck would be a big one from the Cardinals. I literally would lay in bed at night and Sheila, you and I and Mark too can remember these with the old Sony Walkmans.
Yes. Yep.
Well, at night I'd listen to AM radio, the West Coast ball games, and of course KMOX with the Cardinals, the Reds. I'd fall asleep listening to those guys.
Absolutely.
So my mom used to think I was crazy. Of course, my sisters were older, and so I was at home by myself a lot of my youth years from junior high into high school, and I literally would play Nerf hoop in my mom and dad's bedroom, and I would make box scores. I'd get the old Street and Smith's basketball magazines, I'd get the lineups. I played the entire 1979 Indiana State college basketball schedule and act like I would Larry Bird, have a spot from the baseline. But so I would do play-by-play, and my mom would go by the bedrooms like, man, is he nuts or what's going on? But that's kind of how I developed a little bit of a style.
That's awesome.
You do a great job.
But Kurt Gowdy on TV, I always liked him. Lindsey Nelson. Always liked a guy by the name of Charlie Jones that did games on NBC. But there's so many. Dick Enberg. Don and Marty and Jack Buck would probably, from the radio aspect, which is what I do, would be the 3 biggest influences on me. But John Chance, back to him. I mean, having him on, it's just fantastic. I mean, it's not like going to work other than getting up early in the morning. I like to sleep in some.
You're hanging out with your your pal, or
he likes to do the quiz bowl. He hosts the quiz bowl and challenges Tony and Kurt with that, and they do a good job of
Yeah, we're up 4 months to 2, by the way. We just won the month of June this morning. So.
Nice.
John actually did that in high school. He would divide the class up into groups of 3, and whoever won the quiz bowl, he would give questions that would pertain to the final, and whoever won got an A on the final, didn't have to take the test. So
wow,
what a great incentive!
I was on the winning team. He says I didn't have anything to do with it though.
That's awesome.
So that's where that kind of comes from.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, I mean, it's a blessing. I want to ask you something because I want to hear your answer to see if it's similar to mine. What was your favorite thing about being in radio for so many years that you enjoyed the most?
I really enjoy, which is why I love this podcast so much, and when we have guests, I love interviewing people.
I knew the answer to this.
Because
She's talked about
I like to just see who people are, and I really am truly interested in listening. And even with my friends, when we go out to have lunch or whatever, they talk, I listen. And so that's probably my favorite thing about that was just getting the opportunity to interview. What about yours?
Mine would probably be, that would kind of fall into a little bit of what I was thinking, but probably the relationships that I've made with people over the years, even if it's listeners. Some of those people I never even met face to face.
Yeah, but you feel like you know them.
Yeah, and just the relationships. We used to do a show on Saturday morning. So when we were down in Jackson Defeat Creek Mall, when the KT93 days, I hosted the radio auction. Yeah. And it was funny. People would call in, and my wife, of course, I had no idea who she was back then, but she would call in and order pizzas, or actually tanning sessions. My parents would call in and order pizzas and try to get the winning bids and stuff. But do you remember the radio auction?
I remember the name. Yeah, I remember people talking about it. Yeah,
yeah, radio auction. You're on the air. But what's funny? What's funny is so many people. I would start remembering their. We were talking about remembering jersey numbers earlier, doing play-by-play, but by their voices, I could start. It got to be a contest if I knew their phone numbers. Right. So I remember that was one of the funny things about the show. People would call in and wait to see if I could guess their phone number. Then they would giggle if I would get it right. But yeah, just the relationships for me would be, and all of the people I think back that are even now gone that I miss. I think about still to this day. So maybe there was a lady in Spencer years ago that would call in like 2 or 3 birthdays every day. Her name was Donna Hall. I still think of it. She's been gone for probably 15 or more years, but I still think.
Yeah.
And they become. That's a really great point. Is they really become? It's like an ensemble cast, and they become a part of your program or your day part or whatever. Because I mean, like with the Trading Post on Who's Your Country, we've got Kevin the Legend, and we've got Stick, and we've got what I mean, like all these characters that call in almost every day on the Trading Post, and they become part of your voices basically that are familiar to other listeners. So I would agree with that. And when you can do that, that's local radio, right?
Absolutely.
That's the beauty of local radio, and because people feel like they are one of you, or they're part of your family, which is wonderful. That's the beauty of local radio, and why I was so thrilled to be a part of it.
Before we run out of time,
we're out of time. What's going on here?
It's
okay,
amazing,
all right.
isn't it?
Can we go another hour?
Yeah. All the games you've done, I know you've done thousands probably.
Yeah, over 1,000.
Is there one that sticks out to you that was like one of your favorite, like man, that was something to see. That was very memorable because I love high school sports.
The one that pops out to me right away, a lot of people would think, since I'm an Edgewood graduate, would maybe the Edgewood's first ever single class sectional basketball title. I got to call that in 1993. But the game that sticks out, Garrett Butcher, who had a great career at Edgewood, he was a freshman, but they played Owen Valley, first time ever in a sectional championship game. It was up at the McAnally Center in Greencastle. Game goes triple overtime.
Oh, that'd be
and there were some outstanding players on both teams. Harry Marshall and Jared Maynard for Owen Valley Butcher, and Tommy Weekly and some of those guys for Edgewood.
Great rivalry.
But triple overtime, Edgewood won the game in triple overtime. But there were over 5,500 people packed into that gym. People were tailgating an hour and a half before we even got to go in to set up our equipment. So that would be number one right there. Football. Probably some of the Owen Valley teams I covered recently,
and
their runs they had with Coach Rob Gibson, and then John Chance when he was coaching at Edgewood, almost upsetting number one Chittard up in Indianapolis. They were favored to lose by 50 or more.
Yeah.
And they really got kind of, can I say, I don't want to say the word screwed, but I think I just did. Sorry. They got screwed. They got screwed on. They scored a touchdown with no time left, and a referee threw 2 flags for over celebration. Yeah. And a kid that had missed an extra point all year had to go for like a 50-yard extra point for Edgewood. Didn't make it. Went to overtime, and Chittard beat them by 3. But Edgewood got robbed of that game. So
it happens in sports.
So that would be one for football, and the unfortunate was a loss.
I love Indiana high school football and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite environments. I'm really worried and concerned about high school basketball going to a shot clock.
Yep, I think
it's
coming.
going to happen.
Yeah.
Most states are doing it already.
Yep.
But I just don't. I don't, because I think that's a great strategy in high school basketball. If you can do the fundamentally sound and hold the ball. Of course, I'm from Bloomfield, so we play stall ball once in a while.
Rod McBride days.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, quite honestly, I always felt like the shot clock ruined college basketball.
Well, it didn't help it. It made it more like pro.
Yeah, I mean, it changed. Changed.
It's a different
completely.
aspect. I mean, I like the Pacers. I like to watch the Pacers. The Pacers made a great run this year.
Yep.
I think you're a Pacer fan.
Yep, they're young. I like it. Our Reds are young. I like those young teams. It looks good. In my Green Bay Packers, I'll throw that out. And I love Coach Signetti and the Hoosiers.
Yes,
I'm excited about Hoosier football.
I am
really
too.
excited to see him in action.
I think
with
I
our
have
Hoosiers.
a turnaround coming.
I like his attitude.
I do too.
He's very Coach Hep-ish, I think. He's
Absolutely.
got a bit of a Coach Hep vibe to him, which is awesome. Tony, man alive, it's been so good. Will you come back?
Absolutely. This has been a blast. I'm ready to go again. We're going to do another hour-long show or half hour right now.
Sure, we can do it.
Yes, because we want to it'd be fun to just sit with you now that we know your journey and all that stuff, just to really sit down and dig into some sports and pick your brain on.
Anytime, guys.
We'd love to have you back.
Absolutely.
It's not too far for you to drive?
No, I live about 3 or 4 minutes away. So.
Okay, perfect. Tony Kale, tell us real quick where everybody can find you, socials, on air, all that stuff.
WCLS 97.7 on the radio, WCLS977.com. We're on 6 to 9 in the morning, of course, 24 hours a day on the air. WCLS Classic Hits 97.7 on Facebook, and you can just see my name on Facebook, Tony Kale. Find me. Friend request me.
They have a great show. I listen to them every morning. It makes your day go quicker.
And of course, Kurt Dirndl's on with us.
Yes,
well, you didn't have to bring that up.
Love you, Kurt.
But they do the Friday Fun Show or the fun song, and it is fun. You just bump along and it's fun. Cruise to town.
And get to hang out with another radio. You guys call me a radio legend. She started before me. So.
Oh well,
we're young. We're young, right?
Yeah, I will. I know they called me old. That's okay. I am old.
I did not say that.
I just turned 60. But I will say this: we don't want you to retire anytime soon. But early retirement, big thumbs up. So whatever.
I'm thinking about it, but it'll be a while though.
Yeah. So,
I understand.
Tony,
I want my wife to be able to do that first.
Oh, God love you. See, that's so wonderful. We love Tony Kale, and we're so thankful that you came in. So we're going to have him back. For sure, because we want to dig in a little bit more and just turn him loose. We're just going to sit back and let him talk next time, I think, Mark.
Oh my goodness! You better. I might have to tone me down next time.
You know what? We'll have you come back when IU football season kicks off.
Sounds great.
That would be awesome. We'd love to get your feedback on that. Fantastic.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. If it's God's will, we'll be back here next Friday and we'll do it again. Yes, thank you, Mike and Carter, and thank you. We'll see you next time here at the General Store.
Bye-bye.